Hey everyone, my name is Matt Shively. I lead our counseling ministry here at The Grove, and this is Kara Havens. And she has just completed her internship with us and is soon to be a licensed associate marriage and family therapist. And so we just wanted to talk for a few moments about this idea that everyone is probably thinking about in the back of their mind, anxiety. How does anxiety affect us in our day-to-day lives, and what do we do about it?
Yeah. How can we cope?
How can we cope with anxiety? It's going to be there for all of us. So what do we do about it? Yeah. So it's been said that this is the age of anxiety. So Kara, we would both agree anxiety is an issue for probably everybody to some level today. Why do you think that is?
I think there's a lot of reasons. I think in some ways we don't know how to regulate, to self-regulate. I think a lot of our community is now kind of online. There's not as much personal connection. People feel disconnected from one another. And we are, by nature, God created us to co-regulate. When we're with another person, that regulates our nervous system in a lot of ways. And so when we're missing that, especially during COVID, you saw such a rise in anxiety across the globe. So I think that has a lot to do with it in some ways.
Yeah, regulation is such an important part of dealing with anxiety because nobody can sustain being 150 miles an hour, for an entire day or 2 or 3 or 4 without that regulation. And so being able to calm yourself down. And then the reverse can kind of be true too, if you just never get excited about anything. So regulation kind of flows both ways, which is good to note, right?
Yeah, we kind of all have that kind of home away from home. When we're not in a calm state where the world is safe enough and we're okay enough, we tend to either be in that hyper-arousal or hypo-arousal. So to kind of figure out, okay, where's my go-to? Where do I usually land? For me, it's hyper-arousal very easily. And so to regulate up in my nervous system to where I feel okay is not going to look like sitting still. It's going to look more like listening to music that I love or connecting with people and having conversations, things that are more active because I can't shift immediately to this like yoga thing. So.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we were talking about was be listening to your body, in a sense, listening to what your body needs. And I think the crossover, because we aren't just physical beings or just emotional beings or just spiritual or just mental, we're all of the above. And so one of the things that I like to do to regulate is to pray as part of my process to calm myself down and let God into the pores of my anxiety, whatever that happens to be. We say some other things to help regulate, either from the hypo or the hyper-arousal.
I think breath work can be really helpful, like doing that deep belly breathing from the inhale and then make the exhale a little longer is good for anxiety.
Let's try that right now.
Okay.
Like everybody watching this, take a 3-second breath in. Ready? 3 seconds out. I mean, you can feel that, right? Instantly, like my shoulders relax. Where for you did it go?
Immediately, I went from kind of this shoulder tenseness to like, okay, I can breathe again. And I love pairing my breath sometimes with a thought. And usually it's kind of a prayer thing. Like, what am I going to inhale to energize me? What trait, what attribute, what characteristic even of God's can I breathe in? And what am I going to release with my exhale? And that release can be so helpful.
I've heard that called an anchor prayer.
Yeah.
And I love that. On the inhale, breathe in a truth of God. Say a quick 1-sentence prayer. And on the exhale, breathe out a lie that maybe you've believed, you've bought into, you've held on to. Could be something from your past that's just, in a sense, haunting you. That doesn't need to anymore. We can lay down.
Yeah.
I think a lot of reasons why it affects everybody is it can be both situational and then it can be kind of this thing that's a little more chronic for people. When you're coming off of a very anxious situation. I think all of us can relate to that. What's your, we've kind of talked about this, but what's your go-to to go from that super, you're really amped up, maybe even shaking, you can feel it, to try to find that peace again?
Usually I have to get it out physically. I have to take a walk. I need to take a hike. I need to do something physical, preferably outdoors if it's not too hot, although it's getting too hot now.
True.
Yeah. So how about for you? What does that look like for you?
There have been seasons where I have to write it out, so I might need to journal it down. I'm like you too, where a walk would be really good. It's partially my personality, but I get really tired. And so maybe a quick little lay down, close my eyes, if that's something I can do in the moment. Otherwise, the breathing again, back to the breath exercise, that would be a good thing as well.
I think that a lot of times people feel their anxiety in their bodies before it comes to their mind. I know maybe it starts with those thoughts, but they feel that tension, that fight or flight kind of starts to kick in, and they can feel it in their shoulders and their throat and their headache, whatever that looks like. And to notice that and find ways, I don't know, whatever that looks like, the breath work, the things like that, find ways to practice some attunement to their body and practice that self-compassion. Like, your body is working so hard for you all the time.
Yeah.
Your nervous system is working to keep you safe.
That's right.
How can we partner with that?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And I think that's even biblical, you know,
absolutely.
hold every thought captive.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we feel like we are a prisoner to our thoughts, but in fact, we're the jail keeper. We're the gatekeeper. You know, is that a thought? Yeah, we could be triggered by a thought, and that maybe was outside our control, and that's fair. But from that point on, you have the ability to dwell on that thought or to dismiss it and say, you know, I'm not letting you in. You can't come past the gate today. And so I think that is something to think of if you find yourself in a season or a moment, even today, where you find anxiety really grabbing your thoughts, grabbing your moments from you. You know, remember when those thoughts happen, there's a way that you can cast those cares on Jesus, for He cares for you.